In today's video, I'm going to show you how to turn the simple crochet oval we learned last week into a beautiful and practical glasses holder. First, I'll walk you through a basic size that fits most glasses, and then I'll show you how you can easily customize it to fit your own pair. And then once we're finished with that, I am so excited to show you how a few simple embroidery techniques will completely transform it. For the demo, I'm using a weight 4 cotton yarn with a 4mm hook. Usually a 5mm is recommended, but I decided to use a 4 because the stitches are tighter, making this more sturdy. You can definitely go up to a 5mm, it's just going to make it a little bit softer and a little bit bigger. I do recommend that you use 2 stitch markers, preferably in different colors. You'll see why as we're working the pattern. Adding a slip knot to the hook. To begin, chain 18. To work this pattern, we're going to be working into both sides of the chain. And like last week, I do recommend that you start in the back bump for the first side. This is really going to improve the look of the base and remove the gaps. You'll work the back stitch of the chain just like you would the front of it. We're going to begin in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2. Next, add 2 more single crochets into the same stitch. Grab your first stitch marker and place it in the very first single that you made. And now we're going to work a single crochet in every chain across. So in every bump across, add a single crochet. When you come to the very last chain, add 3 single crochets to match the other end. Grab your next stitch marker and add it to the very first single of those 3. We're going to be working on the other side of the chain now. What I would recommend you do is hold on to the tail, don't work over it. This is very useful for keeping an eye on your rounds. So we've rotated. We're going to work a single crochet in each stitch across. You'll notice here you have a really nice stitch to work into. Your hook is going under 2 strands of yarn. This is going to give you a really beautiful and solid base. After round 1, you should have 36 single crochets. We're going to be working in a continuous spiral. We're not slip stitching, chaining 1 to work each round. That's why the tail is so important, as well as the different color markers. You'll notice here that the tail is on the far right as a right-hander. If you're left-handed, it will be on the left after you've completed a full round. And another little clue for myself is that I have a blue marker at the beginning of every round. For this round, we're doing 2 increases per end, and we're just going to do them right away. Going into the very first stitch of the round, add 2 single crochets. Stitch marker back into the very first stitch, add an increase in the next stitch, and now work a single crochet in every stitch across until you get to the next stitch marker. Starting in the next stitch marker, add an increase in the next 2 stitches. So an increase in the first stitch here, that's 2 single crochets. Adding my stitch marker back into the very first stitch, and now another increase into the next stitch. And now add a single crochet in every stitch until you get to the next stitch marker. After round 2, you should see 40 single crochets. For this round, we're going up to 3 increases in each end. So just like we did with the 2, we're doing an increase in the next 3 stitches. So here's our first increase. Place your stitch marker into the very first one you made. Now add an increase into the next 2 stitches. Remember, that's 2 singles into the same stitch. Okay, so here in the first 3 stitches, we have a total of 6 single crochets. Work a single in every stitch across until you come to the next stitch marker. We're at the next marker. Again, we're doing 3 increases, which means 2 singles in the next 3 stitches. There's our first increase. Putting my stitch marker back into the very first one I made. Let's do this 2 more times. Increase, increase. Continue on with a single crochet in each stitch across until you get to the next marker. After this round, you should have 46 single crochets. We're on our final increase round. This time we're doing 4 increases. So that means 2 single crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So going into the first one with the marker, adding 2 single crochets, putting the stitch marker back into the very first one I made. Now increase in the next, increase in the next, increase in the next. So you should see 8 single crochets in these first 4 stitches. Work a single crochet in every stitch along until you get to the next marker. We're at the next marker. We're doing 4 increases. An increase in each of the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue working single crochets all the way along. And after this round, you should see 54 stitches. To continue to make this a little bit wider, we're going to add 2 rounds of single crochets in every stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the green stitch marker because I don't need it anymore. I just need the stitch marker at the very beginning of the round. And again, we're working 2 rounds of single crochets. So starting into the very first stitch of the round, add a single crochet, put your stitch marker back in place, and work a single all the way around. You can just stick with 1 round of single crochets if you want a more narrow shape, but we're doing 1 more for the pattern. And again, for round 6, single crochet, add your stitch marker, and then just continue around with single crochets. And that's the base completed, and you should still see 54 stitches. You may be noticing that it's starting to curl up. That's really normal. That's because we aren't doing any increases. For this next round, we're going to begin the side, and we're going to be working a single crochet in every stitch around in the front loop only. That's what's going to give you a really interesting looking edge. Go into the very front loop, single crochet. Put your marker back and continue all the way around. Front loop only. You can actually go around just doing single crochets and it will naturally create the side for you, but again, this gives a really nice decorative siding to it. Makes it very clear that you have a side. And for our final round, we're just going back to a regular single crochet in every stitch. Going under both loops. Still holding on to my handy dandy stitch marker. Continue all the way around with a single crochet under both loops. To fasten off, I like to do an invisible join. If you don't like doing that, you can just add a slip stitch to the very first stitch of the round and fasten off using your preferred method. But here I'm just going to snip the yarn. I did not do a slip stitch. Grab a yarn needle, whichever you like best. Skip over the stitch that had a stitch marker, working into the one right after. Go in from behind, or you can go in from the front, it doesn't matter. Pull through, and then work into the back loop only to create the top of the stitch. I like to go back under just to secure it, and then back through. And then just weave in using your favorite method. For the original tail, I like to undo the slip knot and then just tighten. And then weave that in too. It is going to be a little distorted, but because it's cotton, it's very easy to block and shape into place. I do have another little tip that I'll show at the end of the video. To resize this, it's really easy to do. Take your specs, with your glasses folded, measure the length, and make a chain to that. It doesn't have to be an odd or even number, just whatever this measurement is. And then from there, just follow the pattern. To make it wider, you're going to want to do more increases. For the increasing, you'll stick with the same sequence. We started with 2 increases per end, went up to 3 increases, then 4 increases per end. To go bigger, you'll do the same sequence. 5 increases per end, 6 increases, 7 increases, and so on. If you're wanting to go quite big with that, maybe for a different kind of project, then I recommend that you don't do all of your increases in one big clump like I did here. The bigger you go with that, the more noticeable it's going to be and the more distorted it's going to get. It was fine here because I'm working small. But if I wanted to go bigger with this, I would definitely spread those increases out along that round to help with distortion. All right, let's do some embroidering. Here I'm going to show you how to do a really easy rose. Grab yourself a stretch of yarn, just long enough that it's easy to work. This is about 36 inches long. You can also do this with embroidery floss. I'm going to work my rose here in the center. I'm going to go through the middle. We're going to make 5 straight stitches all from the center here, so it looks like these spokes of a wheel. Just going to go up a couple of rounds. There's 1. We're going to do 5 in total. You want to space them out as evenly as possible. Does not have to be perfect. Going back into the same center. 2. 3, 4, 5. Next, you're going to weave your yarn through every other spoke. So come back up. Skip the first spoke, go under the next. Skip the next spoke, go under the next. You're just going to continue doing this around and around until your straight stitches are gone. Skip over, go over to the next. Skip, next. Try not to pull too tight. You can go back into the back and fasten off here, or you can go in the center and do a French knot to give more of the impression of more petals in the center. This is totally optional. French knots can be a little bit tricky, but you would come into the center, hold the yarn with your non-dominant hand, and take your needle and wrap around twice, still holding on with your non-dominant hand. Go back into the center in a slightly different area, otherwise it'll just go straight through. See how I'm still holding on to the yarn with the non-dominant? Gently pull through. Isn't that beautiful? I just get so excited about this. And then fasten off. Grab some scrap green for your leaves. Very simple leaf. We're just doing a straight stitch. We're just going to take our yarn and go diagonally just to make the appearance of leaves. And I'm just using a long stretch of yarn, probably more than I need. Just go out on a diagonal. Just making this up as I go. Going back into the same beginning stitch or beginning center. You could do another smaller one here. I'm just going to go across. Try to match the one I made. Just mirror it. Back into the same spot. You notice here I actually did 3 per side and then 3 here up at the top. But here I'm just doing 2. And I'm going to go up here and do another cluster. Here I will do 3. And then just repeat on the other side. To help with the shaping, you can block this. Just pin it into the shape that you want, spritz it with water and let it air dry, or you can stiffen it. Grab yourself a paper towel. Here I'm just using some spray starch. mold it into the shape that you want, and then leave it to air dry. Here's the one that was previously done. This is just one of the designs that you could do for this. There are so many different options. A book I recently bought that I absolutely love is Embroidered Crochet. Highly recommend it. There are a lot of stitch ideas in this. You can look at any kind of embroidery books, but I just really thought this was great. The book here has different projects that I am just dying to try. I absolutely love these baskets. This is where I got the rose idea from. If you're interested in this book, I'll add a link in the description box below. Lots of interesting tips that you can apply to different types of projects. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like is always appreciated. If you'd like to learn how to take this holder and turn it into cute little animals like cats, dogs, bears, and foxes, let me know in the comments. With that, I'll say thanks for watching and see you in the next video.